websites of different agencies. Sinasabi nila it's uploaded, pero hindi mo naman mabasa, Mr. President, because the scanning, the technology they use is very low in resolution, and you cannot search the item. So in this resolution, we will make sure, or the resolution calls for a readable format, so that the public will have a convenient and easy way to look at the information, Mr. President.
Well, you mentioned, yes, indeed, volume, ano? And then it should be readable. But these documents are technical, and ordinary Pinoys might not understand. No? So there are complexities to the contents. Now, in order to achieve full transparency, these should not only be readily available, but also understandable to everyone intending to view them. So how can the ordinary Juan and Juanas de la Cruz understand the process?
That's a very good question, Mr. President. Indeed, the ordinary Juan de la Cruz will have a very difficult time to understand the contents of the budget, Mr. President. Indeed, to be honest, it took me a while to understand the contents of the NEP, the GAB, and the other materials. Other than that, I have to read many materials. For example, the admin code on budgeting. I have to read that so that I will understand the process and the terminologies. So, Mr. President, I was thinking maybe the second step is to, I was analyzing the NEP. I don't know, and I would need a lot of suggestions from our colleagues. So how to probably reform the NEP itself, no, to make it understandable. For example, make it in tabular form, include graphs in the NEP itself, also in the GAB. So make it a layman format, Mr. President. But I was thinking of that as a secondary step, Mr. President. So the first step is to upload it. The second is reform how we present the information, so that when you open the book, you can easily absorb the contents of the book, Mr. President. Right now, admittedly, it's very technical.
So we do not expect that to happen in this budget.
Well, Mr. President, what I am expecting is a lot of the budget experts. There are a lot of budget experts, economists, the academe, and these people are well versed in the budget process, and they can also learn faster than an ordinary person. So I expect that these individuals will be interested to look at the budget, and we hope that they will also analyze the budget together when we are analyzing the budget. So in the immediate, in the next, when we do this, Mr. President, I expect that experts will be engaged. The next challenge, maybe the next step will be, how do you engage ordinary Filipinos through a understandable layman format of the NEP and the GAB, Mr. President?
We will hold on to that.
Yes. Mr. President, I was also flagged that when the DBM transmit to us the NEP, they also transmit what they call the people's budget version. No? But typically, these are summary of the budget. No? May economic cluster, may social services cluster, and it's summarized. But of course, as we all know, the devil is in the details. No? And when you go into the details, that's where the NEP comes in, and it gets very technical. Alam naman natin yun, may expense class, may cost structure, and it gets really quite confusing if you don't know the terminologies and how it's divided and computed.
All right. Yes.
Okay. And Mr. President, I was also flagged by our technical staff that the people's budget, NEP ba ito? Is this the NEP? NEP ba ito? The NEP and the JA, together with the summary, is also translated into our major dialects like Ilonggo, Ilocano, Bisaya. So there's a friendlier version of the NEP being published by the DBM, Mr. President. So, but admittedly, it's a summary. It's not the book itself. No?
Yes, but is it readily available?
Yes, Mr. President, it's on the website of the DBM.
Okay, all right. May I call your attention to page 4 of of the resolution. Page 4, number 9, letter C, Bicameral Conference Committee report. It is under General Appropriations number 1. The following documents, including all annexes and attachments as may be applicable, shall be uploaded to both the websites of the Senate and the House of Representatives. A, BP 201 forms, etc., etc. B, GAB passed on third reading by the House, transmitted to the Senate, all good. C, Bicameral Conference Committee report. Just the report? How about how it is done? Di ba? The devil is in how it is done.
Well, Mr. President, the concept that we are applying through this resolution is along the way, Mr. President, the public will now have the ability to follow because the information is already uploaded to the website. So they can follow the changes in the GAB. They can even follow the changes in the Senate committee report. They can even follow the changes in the Senate third reading version.
And how it is being done.
Yes.
Correct?
So pagpasok nila, Mr. President, sa Bicameral Conference Committee, they already have a view of the disagreeing provisions between the House and the Senate. So that's what's important. Actually, Mr. President, what's important here is the information prior to the actual Bicameral Conference Committee para masusundan nila if ever there are once again changes in the Bicameral Conference Committee, masusundan nila yung changes because they have the information prior to the Bicameral Conference Committee.
Okay.
So that's
I will wait for the period of amendments, and I will propose an amendment to that effect. No?
Yes,
All right.
Mr. President.
Let me just finish off with one or two more points. Just to clarify, does this resolution include agencies whose budget does not come from the GAA, like income-generating agencies, but whose funds are nonetheless public, but ano yan? If we're talking of transparency, hindi ba dapat kasama yung mga kinikita nila katulad ng GAB,
PAGCOR.
Games and Amusement Board, PAGCOR,
PCSO.
PCSO, MTRCB, the Supreme Court.
No, Mr. President, since there...
Billion yun sa Supreme
Yeah,
Court.
I agree, Mr. President. Supreme Court makasali sa ano natin. Di ba kasali ang Supreme Court? Sinasabit niba sa atin? Supreme Court. Yeah. Mr. President, those GOCCs that you mentioned, they don't come to the Senate, to Congress, both houses, to authorize their budget, Mr. President, since there are, they have a corporate-like body, Mr. President. It's their own board that approves their budget and their expenditures, Mr. President. So it does not include the GOCCs, Mr. President.
But they appear during budget.
Only certain
because of their budget, no?
only certain GOCCs like PNOC, Mr. President, NEA, National Electrification Authority, but the other GOCCs, especially the ones created by the SEC, they don't come to the Senate, Mr. President. Like PAGCOR, di naman ho sila pumupunta dito.
So you're saying that in the GAA, whether it's transparency or not, the GAA-like incoming generating agencies whose funds are nonetheless public are not included in this transparency proposal of ours?
Well, Mr. President, because they're not, their budget is not being appropriated by Congress, and we're not authorizing their expenditures. So they don't come here, Mr. President. So they are being audited by COA, nevertheless, but they don't come to Congress to get their authorization on their budget. Only certain, Mr. President, like National Electrification Authority, which is a GOCC that comes here and requests for their budget. So we will publish their budget request, Mr. President.
Is there no chance for us to say that even though they do not pass through the GAA, but still those are public funds?
That's a very good suggestion, Mr. President.
Dapat sila, they should be encouraged to follow the lead of the House of Representatives and the Senate in being transparent in the use of public funds.
But, Mr. President, I totally agree with our good minority leader because even though they are a corporate-like entity that has that has their own board and they approve their own budget, nevertheless, in the spirit of transparency, those entities should also publish their important financial records, Mr. President. I believe that because the national government is implementing what they call the transparency seal. If you go to the website, Mr. President, may transparency seal. They upload all of the important financial documents so that the public can look at those financial documents. I believe that all government entities, including GOCCs like PAGCOR or PCSO, they're required to upload through the transparency seal, Mr. President. But we will take your suggestion seriously, Mr. President, and see how we can come up with a bill that will require these agencies also to at least send information to the Senate. No?
In that case, can I count on your support when we tackle the FOI bill?
Yes, Mr. President. I am one of those who believe in that measure, Mr. President.
Very good. Thank you very much then. Just one final question. Will there be any penalties for agencies that fail to comply or are delayed in their compliance?
Well, Mr. President, since this will be the coverage of this bill is the Senate and the House of Representatives, Mr. President. So we have our own administrative mechanism to penalize those who do not follow this resolution, Mr. President. Admittedly, Mr. President, after approving this resolution, it is now the offices of our respective Congresses that will operationalize here this resolution. For example, Mr. President, the LBRMO will be part of this operationalization. The Bills and Index, the IT office of our Senate will be part of this because they'll be the ones digitalizing the information, uploading the information. So all of these offices now will be mandated after approval of this resolution, Mr. President.
But your answer is a polite no.
Well, Mr. President, pag may hindi sumunod dito sa atin, meron naman tayong administrative mechanism. Pwede naman silang mamemohan o ma-suspend o ma-penalize, Mr. President. What's important now is there's a legal basis for these offices to follow. No, yun ang importante.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to our minority leader.
From the city of Valenzuela. I look forward to the period of amendments. I will propose an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. We welcome the amendments, Mr. President, so that we will have a complete and holistic measure, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Yes,
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
next to interpolate is the distinguished gentleman from the great province of Cavite, no other than Senator Panpilo Ping Lacson. I move that he be recognized, Mr. President.
Senator Ping Lacson is recognized to interpolate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the good sponsor of Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 4, the distinguished gentleman from Valenzuela, yield to just a couple of questions, Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. President, I would be, again, it's an honor to receive questions from, I call Senator Ping the budget hawk of the Senate. Talagang hawk-like yung kanyang pagmamonitor ng budget.
Thank you, Mr. President. My first question is, what is the legal effect of a concurrent resolution as compared to a law passed by Congress?
Well, Mr. President, the concurrent resolution will bind both houses, Mr. President. It's true that the law can also bind both houses, but in this case, since this is a resolution, it's expressing as well as binding both houses in the recommendations that are laid forth in this resolution, Mr. President.
And the legal effect of a law passed by Congress is?
The legal effect of the law is
It binds
both
even the
houses.
public. It's binding on the public as well as the
Yes, Mr.
houses of Congress.
correct, Mr. President. In this
So-
case, it's only both houses that are bound. Mr.
It is
President.
more institutionalized. I mean the law.
Yes, Mr. President, correct.
I asked that question because I filed Senate Bill 32
Yes, Mr.
in
President.
the 20th Congress. It was referred to your Committee
Yes.
on Finance, and secondarily to the Committee on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation.
Correct, Mr.
And I hope we can collaborate
Yes, Mr. President.
to schedule a hearing forthwith.
Yes, Mr. President. You have my guarantee on that measure, Mr. President. I took a look very quickly on that measure, and it's a very good measure that empowers the public, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a matter of fact, this is the 5th time that I'm filing this measure. I filed it in the 14th, 15th, 17th, and 18th Congress. Unfortunately, hindi po lumalabas sa committee. Walang committee report. So I'm glad that there is now this concurrent resolution being sponsored by unanimously
Yes.
by all the members of this house, of this body. So anyway, my second question is, will the uploading of documents, as mentioned on page 4, and enumerated on lines 3 to 26, particularly the written individual amendments submitted by members of the House of Representatives and the Senate to the respective chairpersons, House Committee or the House Committee on Appropriations and the Senate Committee on Finance. Yun po ba kasama rin sa ma-upload ng mga dokumento? Kasi ang practice po natin, even in the House, pa second reading pa lang, may bulungan na. Hindi na take up sa plenary. Hindi po ba ganyan ang ating naging practice? Because it's too tedious, I understand. Because if we entertain all individual amendments on the floor, baka hindi tayo matapos. So, for exigency, para ma-facilitate, ang ginagawa na lamang natin, nagsasabit ng mga individual amendments sa chairman or sa chairperson ng Senate Finance Committee. But ang question ko po is, pati ba yun i-upload natin sa website?
But Mr. President, since the committee report of the GAB from the Senate side will be uploaded, we will now see the changes, Mr. President. Makikita natin in to from, Mr. President. So, in other words, we will now have the ability to look at the changes on a very granular basis per PAP, per office, even sub-offices, Mr. President. Makikita na natin ngayon, Mr. President.
I understand that, Mr. President. Ang problema lang doon is hindi natin malaman kung sino ang sponsor or proponent ng amendments.
Well, Mr.
If we
President-
upload it, then we will be able to identify and we can point back to the proponent or proponents of the amendments.
Yeah.
That's my concern. That's why I ask if written submissions of amendments will also be uploaded, so we can identify from both houses, the House and the Senate, sino yung nag-insert, sino yung nag-realign ng or sino nag-introduce ng amendment para madali makita. Kasi sa ngayon bulag po tayo lahat eh. Nakita lang natin bumukol sa isang district, from say 200 million, bigla na lang naging 15 billion. And we cannot identify. We cannot point to the district representative simply because yung iba nagpa-park. And this is a common practice. We all know that, particularly yung mga party list representatives, wala naman silang distrito. What they're doing is, pakipark nga dyan, pero sa akin yan. So, yun po yung point ko. Kaya gusto ko, uploaded natin with proper identification ng mga proponents. So I go back to my previous question. Will it include the written submissions of amendments ng individual members, particularly individual amendments, Mr. President?
Well, Mr. President, we had a long discussion on that. No, I consulted the technical staff, LBMRO, and some of our experienced technical staff. And the way I understand it, Mr. President, some of the amendments evolve over time. And at the same time, Mr. President, when someone makes an amendment, for example, nagdagdag sila, Mr. President, typically it's the chairman that looks for the source para dagdagan yung magbabawas sa iba. And at the same time, the amendments also evolve. Like for example, nababawasan, or just to have the same effect, it's moved to another PAP or moved to another office. So in other words, Mr. President, the original amendment might not be the same with the final product.
Nevertheless, Mr. President, all I want is to trace back to the proponent or proponents, no matter how many proponents there are. If these are amendments to the amendments, then fine. But we have to be able to identify kung sino po yung proponent or proponents ng amendments. Can we do that, Mr. President? Kasi we are for full transparency. The best or the most genuine transparency is full transparency. Kasi kung hindi rin full transparency, parang ano tawag dyan? Ayoko sabihin ng lolokohan, ano? Pero hindi rin fully transparent eh. It will defeat the purpose, Mr. President, because what we should know or identify yung proponent, kasi naandun po yung taguan eh. Pagka hindi ma-identify, back to the proponent or proponents of the amendment or amendments, ano, kanya-kanya tayo singitan na naman dyan, Mr. President.
Well, Mr. President, that's why when we were discussing that internally and I was consulting with the technical staff, because of that complication, my alternative is to make sure that the third reading, first the committee report, Mr. President. Surprisingly, to be honest, for mga ordinary bills, diba, Mr. President, yung mga committee report, ina-upload natin. The third reading version, ina-upload natin. But surprisingly, in the budget, we don't upload the third reading report as well as the committee report. So there's no way to track the changes. So in other words, Mr. President, when we were analyzing the situation, just to avoid complexity in terms of tracking down the documents, we will now upload the committee report. And doon sa committee report, nandun na lahat, Mr. President.
But
all the final changes
we won't
will
be
there.
able to identify the proponent of the amendment. Unlike in an ordinary measure or bill that we tackle, everything is recorded. Everything is tackled on the floor, including individual amendments. Kasi nandyan, may minutes tayo. Ang problema sa budget deliberation, nag-iisang measure, pinaka-importanting measure, maski wala na tayo maipasang batas, ito, must pass talaga ito. Ang problema, hindi nga transparent. Kaya na-embolden yung mga ibang, mga ibang congressmen or even senators na magsingit ng kung ano na. Anyway, hindi naman matrace sa akin yan eh. That's my concern, Mr. President.
Yeah, I get
If we want to be transparent, let's be fully transparent.
I get the, I acknowledge that Senator Ping has been tracking down the budget
Ang
for a
hirap
very
po
long
maghanap
time.
pagka nagre-review, pagka by budget deliberation. Hirap na hirap po kami ng staff namin. Pag naghahanap ako sa yung previous year's budget, napakahirap. Pero kung merong record ako kung kanino nanggaling yung amendment, mas madali ho maghanap.
Yeah. Well, Mr. President, I am thinking kasi of the entire budget process. And I'm anticipating, for example, one of the vice chairmen will recommend. And nakikita ko kasi minsan ang recommendation, kadalasan ng recommendation pataas eh, hindi ho pababa.
Never mind. As long as we identify the proponent, then that's fine with me.
So the complication that we see based on my consultation is how do we attribute the amendment, the specific amendment, if there are other amendments that will happen to enforce or to operationalize that amendment.
Then let's track them, Mr. President.
Yung pagkuha ng
Kung
pondo.
ilan yung nag-amend sa amendment at inamend yung amendment, at least we can backtrack.
I get the point, Mr. President. It's just the
It's not really difficult, Mr. President. If we want to do it, it's not really difficult. Because if we upload all the amendments, even amendments to the amendments to the amendments, hindi mahirap i-upload yun, Mr. President.
Yeah,
Especially written amendments, hindi yung amendments on the floor.
I get the point of.
Thank you.
It's good.
Thank you, Mr. President.
It's just when we were discussing it. Actually, we talked about that. To be honest about it, Mr. President, it's just how it's how
Tutulong
you,
pa ako, Mr. President.
how
Kung paano natin gagawin.
how you track down the amendments. Kasi minsan isang amendment po may dalawang modification, tatlong modification. That's the complication that I
Well,
see, Mr. President.
At least we can backtrack and identify kung sino yung nag-modify. Sabi ko nga, amendment to the amendments, and that's allowed.
Yes, correct, Mr. President.
So why can't we upload everything?
Sometimes the chairman, in this case, the chairman will also amend that amendment.
And then,
Mr.
so
President.
be it. Let's identify that the chairman also amended the amendment.
Well, take note of the proposal. We'll study, Mr. President. It's just how to operationalize it. That's yun ang naging ano namin, naging
So it seems that it is not acceptable because sa period of individual amendments, mukhang isa yan sa mga i-introduce ko amendment. Eh kung ngayon palang rejected na, baka
hindi
hindi ko
naman,
na.
Mr. President. It's just how I'm thinking ahead how to operationalize that, Mr. President.
Let's work on it, Mr.
Yes,
President.
Mr. President. I'll be more than happy to
Yeah.
work with His Honor, Mr. President.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. The gentleman from San Juan and Zambales.
Thank you, Senator Lacson. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, next to interpolate is the distinguished lady from Ilocos Norte, Senator Amy Marcos. I move that she be recognized, Mr. President.
Senator Amy Marcos recognized to interpolate.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President, Majority Leader. And if the good sponsor, Senator Gatchalian, will allow, a few observations, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to point out that in the last page of the concurrent resolution, page 4, specifically number 3 of the operative clause, it mentions that the Senate shall upload number 3, A, B, C, and I'd like to highlight D, GAB passed on third reading by the Senate. Just to point out and make it very clear, we are only approving here in the Senate the amendments to the General Appropriations Bill. We are the approving body, but we receive it from the House of Representatives, which actually prepares the GAB. The role of the Senate, therefore, is to propose and approve amendments to the GAB, not the original GAB. I just want to be very careful so as not to mislead or confuse the public as to the role of this chamber versus the other chamber. So that perhaps if there is room for amendment, a more precise language would be in number 3A, D, line 26, page 4, instead of GAB passed on third reading by the Senate, it should read amendments to the GAB as approved by the Senate on third reading.
Yes, Mr.
I
President.
propose.
Yes, Mr. President, we acknowledge that the language might not be the accurate language to reflect the approval of the Senate, that the Senate is only approving the amendments to the GAB,
Amendments to
Mr.
the
President.
GAB.
So we acknowledge that, and at the proper time, Mr. President, we would welcome Her Honor's amendments, Mr. President.
Yes, thank you. There being no further amendments from my part or interpellations, I would also like to lend my concurrence and wholehearted support behind this initiative and concurrent resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Marcos. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, last to interpolate is Senator Rodante Marcoleta. I move that he be recognized.
Senator Marcoleta is recognized to interpolate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I hope my friend is still able to accommodate a few questions.
Yes, Mr. President, to my idol, my campaign partner in last 2022.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am one of the supporters of this concurrent resolution, Mr. President. But my only concern are the practical issues that might all be the concern of our people. Like when we say public access or public participation, how much can we give to our people? Because we might not be able to manage people's expectation. There's so many information that we have itemized in these concurrent resolutions. We have not yet, for example, enacted this freedom of information bill. And of course, there is a twin bill in that, the right of reply. We may be raising people's expectation unnecessarily by citing the Constitution, people's right to information, especially on the transactions, the fields of transactions, and then we will put that limitation as provided by law. Mr. President, the senators are national representatives, our people. The House of Representatives is comprised of more than 300 district representatives and party lists. They too are elected representatives of our people. In this concurrent resolution, we are admitting, although impliedly, that our mandate of safeguarding the people's money needs people's participation. Parang hindi kompleto. Ba't kailangan pa naming tulungan kayo? You were there, you were elected. Baka hindi po kaya baka isipin sa atin ng tao yan, Mr. President. Nandiyan na nga kayo eh. Now you are making a concurrent resolution. It is as if that you cannot do your job fully. Hindi naman sa ayaw naming tulungan kayo. We are always ready to help you. The people are also interested in guarding the people's money. Pero saan ba kami talaga makakatulong sa inyo? Pagdating sa... Kasi po, ako po bilang isang naging congressman, Mr. President, may access na po ako sa information. Like, bago po ako mag-graduate sa House, ito pong pinakahuling budget, 2025 budget. Mr. President, when we were already on the first day of plenary debates, alam po ninyo, yung unang subject matter sa first day on plenary debates, ito po yung general principles. Wala pa pong agencies, Mr. President. I was about to ask some questions on the parameters set out by our national economic cluster. Hindi po ako nakapagtanong, Mr. President. A battalion of my colleagues prevented me from asking questions. So, Mr. President, kung ako po ay nandun na mismo, gusto kong magtanong man lang ng ilang tanong, hindi pa po ako nakapagtanong eh. Paano kaya po yung mga kababayan natin? How do we assure them? We wanted to give them a level of expectation, Mr. President. How do we do it? Paano natin sila pagbibigyan ng yung participation will be heard, it will be recognized, it will be vetted, kagaya po ng tinatawag ni Senator Soto kanina. Interesado siya rin na talagang malaman talaga. Talaga bang madidinig? Yan po ang gusto kong itanong, Mr. President.
Well, Mr. President, in the resolution, we also required that both houses should come up with a feedback mechanism, Mr. President. Kasi nga, you're absolutely correct, His Honor, that The information will be out there. People will be encouraged to look at the different details of the of our budget, and they will do their own analysis. But they have no way of reaching out to the senators. They have no way of reaching out to their representatives. There's no way for them to send their feedbacks. So that's why in this resolution we also included a platform through their websites that people can now send their feedbacks, Mr. President. So it comes full circle. The information is there, but we also receive information. So that is the concept, Mr. President, that we are envisioning.
That will be going back to my original question, Mr. President. Kasi sasabihin sa akin nung public, ano ba yung pwede kong gawin na hindi mo pwedeng gawin? Nandiyan ka eh. Nakabantay ka nga dyan eh. Ang gusto kong malaman, sabi niya, Mr. President, yung hindi mo kayang gawin, kami nang gagawa. Yun ang exactly na gusto ko sana malaman kasi yung tao po naghihintay. Gusto rin nilang tumulong siguro, bakit naman hindi? But what are those things? What are those information that they themselves should access that we cannot do?
Well, Mr. President, like for example, meron ba tayong slide? Yung my X-check. Can you flash it? Mr. President, I'll flash a slide, no? And when we were doing the analysis of the process, we found out that only the NEP and the GAA is publicly available through the website, Mr. President. So if you are, let's say, a budget analyst, no? You want to analyze the budget, ito, Mr. President, only the NEP and the GAA is available in the internet. All the rest of the documents in between are not available. So if you want to analyze the budget, especially the movements, it's very difficult for analysts to track the movements because those information is not available in their website. So yun yung gagawin natin available, Mr. President. That the movement in the budget, especially critical documents, will be uploaded as mandated by the two houses, Mr. President.
And each of the senators of this republic, Mr. President, is in a position to secure the assistance of a budget analyst.
Not necessarily, Mr. President. People expect us to know the basic of the budget process and budget analysis. Of course, not all of us come from the same background, but the public expect us to know at least the basics, Mr. President.
That is the point, Mr. President. Ako po, dahil neophyte ako, I would expect a lot of assistance from my staff, mga kaibigan po namin na makakatulong sa pag-a-analyze ng budget. Importante
Correct,
po
Mr.
kasi
President.
ito. So sasabihin sa akin nung mga kabarangay ko halimbawa, which constitute a small portion of the public, bakit mo pa kailangan itong mga barangay mo? Meron kang mga staff na doon na mag-a-analyze dyan, matutulungan ka. Siguro hindi na kami kailangan sapagkat kami napakarami rin naming problema. Tsaka mas meron kayong paraan at saka kayo may mga tao din kayo na talagang tutulong sa inyo. Parang sa kanila ay kalabisan na. Parang hindi kami masyadong makakatulong dahil sa kayo naman ay merong karanasan at kung wala naman ay talagang maraming tutulong din sa inyo para pagtulong-tulungan yung pag-a-analyze ng budget without the people themselves. Except, for example, in other instances like the academe, talaga naman pong nakakatulong yan.
Yes.
At talagang nandyan naman po sila talaga.
Yes.
Not necessarily the general public.
Yes.
Ano po?
Tama, Mr. President. In fact, typically, even here in the Senate, we engage the academe quite often, especially those who are involved in, let's say, public governance or political science. Parte ho yan ng kanilang mga aralin, Mr. President. So, in other words, we can also tap the academe to help analyze the budget. The budget is it's a very complex document and ang dami hong detalye. So if we can engage the academe to also participate in the analysis and help give us fruitful recommendations that can form part of our process, Mr. President.
Yun pong 2025 budget, Mr. President, gusto ko po sanang gawing isang halimbawa ito. Nung matapos po yung BICAM, ako po ay member pa ng House of Representatives. Natanggap ko po yung BICAM report. Kung hindi po ako nagkakamali, mga December 6 po yun, 2025, but about 6:35 in the evening. So napakakapal po yun, siguro about 400 pages, if I'm not mistaken. I tried my best na sundan po talaga, pero given the limited time, kasi masyado nang sigido po yun eh. Ang napagtunan ko na lamang po ng pansin, yung pinakahuli, Mr. President, I'm referring to the special provision in the BICAM report. Napansin ko po talaga, there were about 12 or 13 pages containing about 28 blanks. So ang ginawa ko po, Mr. President, ay tinignan ko po, pinagsikapan ko pong hanapin kung merong instruction na nandun nakalagay, like I was expecting that an annex is appended in the report where the material particulars that will be accomplished to fill up the blanks, the instruction to fill each and every blank in every page, sana nandoon yung, for example, on page 22 halimbawa, this is supposed to be the figure that will be written para maka-accomplish po yun. In other words, di ko po alam kung nagkamali ako, but I was unable to find a particular page signed by the conferees o ordering somebody, for example, the administrative staff of the House of Representatives or whoever was assigned to fill up those 28 blanks na nandun naman talaga halimbawa po and pinirmahan, okay na rin siguro sa akin yun because hindi tayo mawawala because each blank has been designated with a particular data na ilalagay po sa blank. Wala po eh. So I was asking, nagpunta po ako sa office ng Secretary General. Nagbabakasakali po na makahingi makita yung enrolled bill because sa ating tuntunin, I think even in the Senate, meron pong 3 or 4 copies na naiiwan po sa either the Senate or the House of Representatives. The problem is, wala naman akong access. Ito yung pinag-uusapan natin eh. Because I need to know, sino yung nag-fill up? Kasi po, nung ito'y submit na sa Office of the President in the form of enrolled bill, 4 na po yung signatories doon, Mr. President. The Speaker, and the Secretary General, the Senate President, and the Senate Secretary. Yung blank po sa pinakahuli, ay po ang para sa Pangulo na po, doon sa pipirma. So yung enrolled bill, kompleto na po yung detalye, but it did not tell the whole story as to who filled up and what is supposed to be filled up in all those material particulars. So yun pong public access natin, yung taong tutulong sa atin, paano po mapiprevent yung mga ganong pangyayari?
Well, Mr. President, thank you for that question. In fact, I raised that to our technical team here in the Senate that those things should not happen in the 2026 budget. Not under my watch, Mr. President. That the members will be given blank materials to sign, Mr. President. I reminded them to be very strict in the review. Kung kailangan po 2, 3, 4 times to review the documents before letting the members sign, they should do it, Mr. President. So that's a strong reminder to the technical staff, Mr. President. So I know that narinig ko rin yan, Mr. President, during the last budget season, Mr. President, I'm not very sure on the details, Mr. President. I didn't see any blank items, at least sa akin, Mr. President. But since that is an issue that came out, so I reminded our technical staff to be very detailed in scrutinizing the budget materials, Mr. President, especially the ones we will be signing, Mr. President.
Thank you for your assurance, Mr. President. Kanina po, nilapitan ako ni Senator Ping. Pagtulungan natin, sabi niya. Thank you, Mr. President.
Tulungan o pagtulungan?
Thank you, Senator Marcoleta.
Thank you,
Majority
Mr.
Leader.
Mr. President, with no other reservation to interpret, I move to close the period of interpellation.
Any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
I move to open the period of amendments and recognize the sponsor, Senator Gatchalian, and to introduce amendments, and likewise senators, of course, our minority floor leader and Senator Lacson to follow.
Any objection? There being none, motion is approved. Senator Gatchalian.
Yes, Mr. President, a few of our colleagues submitted their amendments, Mr. President, so I will just read them. And then those our colleagues of ours who wants to propose their amendments can also propose after, Mr. President. So I'll go ahead, Mr. President, so that it will be an orderly process. On page 2, line 17, delete the phrase acronym.
Page
delete
1, wala.
the-
Page 1, you don't have any amendments.
Wala, Mr. President. So on page 2, line 17, delete the phrase and acronym General Appropriations Act and replace it with General Appropriations Bill, open close parenthesis GAB. So move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
Still on page 17. Wait,
Page 17. Wala na yun.
sorry. Still on line 17. Yan. Still on line 17, delete the phrase
Yun.
and acronym General Appropriations Bill and replace it with GAB. So move, Mr. President.
Replace it with?
GAB.
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 All right. Any objection?
So
There being none, amendments approved.
on line 20, delete the acronym GAA and replace it with GAB. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
Still on line 20, after the word deliberations, insert the phrase number 7, amendments to the GAB approved on third reading by the Senate, semicolon, and renumber the succeeding phrase accordingly. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
On line 22, after the word votes, delete the phrase of the Senate and House version and replace it with on the GAB. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
On line 30, delete the acronym JA and replace it with General Appropriations Act. So move, Mr. President.
Line 31? 30.
Line 30.
30?
On line 30.
31 maybe?
31 ba? Sorry, Mr. President.
31? Are we on the same frequency?
Sorry, Mr. President, I stand corrected. On line 31,
Yeah.
delete the acronym JA and replace it with General Appropriations Act. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
Okay. These are the amendments from Senator Risa, Mr. President.
All right.
On page 3, on line 28, insert a new whereas clause, which shall read as follows. Whereas, to ensure full accountability and public understanding of legislative changes to the national budget, it is imperative to provide a detailed comparative matrix of the General Appropriations Bill as it progresses through the House of Representatives, comma, the Senate, comma, and the Bicameral Conference Committee, comma, highlighting all amendments, semicolon. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, the amendment is approved.
On line 6, delete subparagraph A.
Same page.
On page 4, line 6, delete subparagraph A and re-letter the subparagraph accordingly.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
On line 10, subparagraph C, after the word votes, delete the phrase of the Senate and House version and replace it with on the gap. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
On line 7, delete the word passed and replace it with approve. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
On line 10, after the word votes, delete the phrase of the Senate and House
You just mentioned it earlier. We have already approved it.
Mulit na. Okay. Sorry, Mr. President. Ito. Okay to. On line 10, after the word gab, delete the period and replace it with a semicolon end. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
The following, Mr. President, are amendments from Senator Lauren Legarda. On line 11, insert a new paragraph D, a new subparagraph D, which shall read as follows, and re-letter accordingly. D, transcripts of the bicameral conference meetings. Transcripts of the bicameral conference committee meetings. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
On line 17, delete the acronym JA and replace it with GAB. So moved, Mr. President.
GAB.
GAB.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
On line 24, delete the acronym JA and replace it with GAB, GAB.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
On line 26, delete subparagraph D and replace it with D. Amendments to the GAB approved on third reading by the Senate. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
The following are amendments from Senator Risa Ontiveros, Mr. President. On page same page 4. On page 4, line 27, insert a new paragraph. Paano ito? Which shall now be the new paragraph 4 and renumber the succeeding paragraphs accordingly. Paragraph 4 shall read as follows. Number 4, period. A detailed comparative matrix shall be prepared by the Committee on Finance and Committee on Appropriations and publicly uploaded to the websites of both the Senate and the House of Representatives to ensure comprehensive understanding and traceability of budget changes. This matrix shall clearly compare the following documents. A, the GAB. B, amendments to the GAB approved on third reading by the Senate, semicolon, and C, bicameral conference committee version on the GAB. The matrix shall highlight all additions, deletions, modifications, and reallocations of funds, including specific line item changes across all programs, activities, and projects. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? Being none, amendments approved.
The following are amendments from Senator Legarda, Mr. President. After line 30, insert a new paragraph and renumber accordingly to read as follows. Okay. All bicameral conference committee deliberations shall be accessible to the public via digital live streaming. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, amendments approved. Yes, what is the pleasure of the minority leader?
The amendment of Senator Legarda, the proposed amendment of Senator Legarda is practically the same as mine, except that there is a difference in the wording. So may I propose this, and then we could probably ask the sponsor to incorporate,
Yes, please proceed.
so that the numbered proposal will now read, if accepted, Number 5, to afford the public the full transparency and access to the budget process, the Senate and House of Representatives will ensure that digital live streaming is available and readily accessible to the public in all budget deliberations. If that's acceptable to Senator Legarda and to the sponsor, Mr. President.
What does the sponsor say?
Yes, Mr. President, we accept, and with the permission of the Senator Soto, we will merge the two. Essentially, it's the same. The direction is the same to live stream it and to show it on screen. So we will merge the two amendments subject to style, Mr. President.
Okay. Is there any objection? There being none, the amendment is approved. Please
After
proceed.
line 33, insert a new paragraph to read as follows. The DBM is urged to upload to its website all the duly received copies of the Budget Preparation Form 201 submitted by all government agencies. So moved, Mr. President.
Is that the amendment of Senator Ontiveros?
No, this is
Your
a
amendment.
committee amendment. Yes,
All right.
Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, amendments approved.
Ito.
Wala na.
Wala na. Okay.
Suspension, Mr. President.
Session suspended. It's assumed.
Mr. President, the Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Tiberos, is seeking the floor. I move that she be recognized.
The Deputy Minority Leader is recognized, Senator Ontiveros.
Salamat, Mr. President. Just a brief manifestation. I would like to thank the sponsor, Senator Gatchalian, for accepting my amendments to this concurrent resolution. We introduced an amendment that would require both chambers of Congress to consolidate the differences between the versions of the budget. Our budget process should be not only accessible, but also comprehensible to the public. These amendments are to ensure full transparency and accountability in the budget process. Recent developments involving the alleged misuse of the budget should alert us here in Congress that we should be more vigilant and proactive in protecting our taxpayers' money. Still, we are mindful of the limit of the current expression of the proposed budget reform in the resolution, and we register the need for the Senate Finance Committee to consider and act on reforms on budget execution as a continuing effort to ensure full transparency and accountability of the budget process in line with our oversight power. Mr. President, we have a long way to go. I hope that this concurrent resolution is a starting point for more transparent and inclusive reforms in our budget process. Salamat po, Mr. President, at salamat muli sa good sponsor.
Thank you, Senator Risa. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 4.
Any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, Senator Rafi Tulfo would like to deliver a privilege speech. I move that he be recognized.
Senator Rafi Tulfo is recognized to deliver his privilege speech.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I speak before you today on a matter of personal and collective privilege. Noong mga unang mga araw ko pa lang dito sa Senado, binigyan din ko na po sa mga committee hearings at sa plenaryo ang kahalagaan ng resibo. Pag sinabi ko pong resibo, hindi po yung binibigay ng mga kahera sa mga tindahan pag may binibili ka. Ito po ay yung pagkakaroon ng pruweba sa mga nangyayari. Halimbawa, kapag ikaw ay naakusahan ng isang bagay, itatanong mo, may resibo ka ba? Meaning, may pruweba ka ba? Ito ang kailangan natin sa ating mga ahensya sa gobyerno, lalong-lalo na sa ating mga law enforcement agencies. Ang paulit-ulit kong sinasabi, kailangan natin ng body-worn camera o BWC para sa ating mga law enforcers at karagdagang CCTV sa mga ahensya na alam nating maraming kalokohan ang nangyayari. Bato-bato sa langit ang tamaan, wala akong paki kung magagalit. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, para na po akong sirang plaka, pero sira pa rin po kasi talaga ang ating sistema. Marami pa rin pong nakarating sa akin ng mga insidente ng mga umaabusong law enforcers. At gayon din naman, may mga insidente rin na napagbibintangan sila at nagiging biktima ng maling paratang. And all these could have been avoided if there were body-worn cameras or CCTVs. Nagsimula po ang clamor ng pagkakaroon ng body-worn camera para sa ating mga law enforcers noong kasagsagan ng war on drugs ni Pangulong Duterte. I hope that my speech will not be politicized. Pero meron kasing batuhan ng akusasyon. Sinasabi ng mga tao na umabuso ang mga pulis at basta na lamang pumapatay. At sinasabi naman ng mga pulis na mga akusado ay nanlaban. Sino ang nagsasabi ng totoo? These issues could have been resolved with cold neutrality if the law enforcers had body-worn cameras. But incidents like these are not isolated to the war on drugs. There are other cases that reach my program where police officers conducted arrest with or without warrant that was not done properly and violated the rights of the accused and sometimes their families. To give life to my privileged speech, Let me show actual incidents that have switched my program. Video. Ba't walang audio? Ba't walang audio? Where's the audio? Audio. No audio. Ano nangyari sa audio?
Nice.
Dapat kailan niyo pa inayos yan?
Asan na yun?
One minute suspension siguro, Mr. President.
Mr. President, minute suspension.
Session suspended.
Hinarang nga po siya ng mga nakamobilya na polis at kasama na po yung Innova sa sasakyan.
Wala naman ho kayong papel eh. Asan ang papel nyo? Manghuhuli kayo. Pumasok pa sa loob ng bahay yan. Ayan.
Okay.
Ayan mga pulis daw, mga pulis. Walang papel, nanguhuli. Pinasok ang bahay namin, walang search warrant. Ayan ayan, Sir Rafi. Mga nangaharap. Sige kuya po.
Sino po yung hinahawakan?
Ayun po, yung kapatid ko pong tomboy po, sinampal po nung pulis po.
Oh, police. Alright. Wala pong nahuling hinahanap nila na Helmer.
Wala po.
Meron po silang dalang warrant.
Wala po. Pinakita
Ayun po yung sinasabi ko sa kanila. Kung may dala silang warrant to pares, pwede ko naman po silang papasukin eh.
Nakulong po kayo?
Opo.
Nagpiyansa lang kayo?
Opo.
Gaano katagal kayo nakulong?
1 linggo,
Mahigit
1 araw.
Ano po yung kaso?
Kinasuhan po kami ng direct assault tas disobedience po.
May bata sa harapan niyo yan, kakasakay ng baril dyan. Natutrauma yung bata sa inyo.
Sige!
Ang unang kaso po ay mga pulis na may hinahabol at sinasabing hot pursuit ang kanilang operasyon. Pero yun nga, umabuso sila. Sinipa ang mga pinto at pinasok ang 5 bahay. Ang pangalawang kaso naman po ay ganun din. Walang warrant na pumasok ng bahay na hindi naka-uniform at nakasuot ng bonnet ang mga operatiba at sinaktan ang mga residente. Ang pangatlong kaso ay isang pulis na may hinahanap na tao na tinuro lamang sa kanya at nang di niya nakita ang taong hinahanap ay natake ang ibang bahay. Kung ang mga law enforcers ay may suot na body-worn camera, hindi siguro basta-basta nangyari ito. At hindi basta-basta sila makapang-abuso dahil meron nga sinasabing resibo. Ibig sabihin, merong ebidensya. Suportado rin talaga na marami ang paggamit ng body-worn camera at CCTV dahil sa mga kaso na mabilis na marisolba dahil sa kuha ng CCTV. In May 2025, a driver's SUV plowed into the departure area of NAIA Terminal 1, resulting in 2 fatalities. Early analysis of CCTV footage confirmed there was no vehicle in front of the SUV, suggesting the crash was unintentional. The video is central to the investigation. In April 2025, 2 unidentified individuals entered the security guard's duty post along General Avenue in Barangay Toro, Quezon City, and stole the guard's bag containing his service firearm and personal belongings. Police reviewed CCTV footage, which captured the suspects in the area and enables authorities to determine their identities. And in August 2024, a dashcam footage showed an MMDA traffic enforcer literally jumping into the hood of a speeding car to stop a driver fleeing from the accident in Taguig. The attempted apprehension was filmed, and authorities were able to retrieve the vehicle's plate number. The benefits of full implementation of BWCs in law enforcement and the installation of CCTVs has long been adopted by developed Asian countries such as Singapore and Japan. In May 2023, Singapore purchased over 109,000 CCTV and another 90,000 cameras recently, with a goal of having a total of 180,000 cameras by 2030. Meanwhile, they also have the full implementation of body-worn cameras to facilitate police investigators and the gathering of evidence. It is part of their technology roadmap to improve the efficiency of policing in Singapore. Meanwhile, in Japan, police officers have long been wearing name card-sized cameras mounted on the chest or side of the head to record their duties and provide evidence in cases of traffic violations and control crowd situations. It said, the National Police Agency aims to introduce the system nationwide after assessing the public reaction and impact on police duties. Here in the Philippines, the use of body-worn cameras as a source of evidence of law enforcement operations has been recognized by our own Supreme Court. On June 29, 2021, Administrative Memorandum Number 21-06-08-SC, or the rules of the use of body-worn cameras in the execution of warrants, was triggered by the increasing reports of civilian deaths resulting from the execution of warrants issued by trial courts, the causes and conditions surrounding such deaths being widely disputed. Other government agencies have also seen the wisdom of this practice. 1. The Bureau of Customs issued its rule on the use of body-worn cameras in the exercise of Customs Police Authority. 2. The Bureau of Immigration issued their implementing rules and regulations for Bureau of Immigration CCTV cameras. 3. The LTO has the guidelines for the operation, maintenance, and accountability of officially issued body cameras. And to ensure the protection of all parties, the National Privacy Commission issued guidelines on the processing of personal data collected using body-worn cameras. The circular aims to establish protocols for the protection of data subjects, personal data, and their data privacy rights, ensuring accountability in personal data processing activities involving BWCs and ARDs. The PNP has already started buying body-worn cameras, and they reportedly have 2,696 BWC units distributed to 171 police stations. Due to the limited supply, they said that the distribution prioritizes personnel in police stations and national operational support units, including the CIDG, Drug Enforcement Group, Anti-Kidnapping Group, and Anti-Cybercrime Group. The purchase of more BWCs were criticized the past years for being overpriced. In 2019, the units purchased had a budget of 289 million pesos, or 289 million, or about 107,000 per unit, which includes a subscription lot. There were also statements from the PNP that the body-worn camera costs more than 135,000 per unit, since it also covers not just the camera, but also the accompanying program, docking stations, GPS capability, and internet, and SIM capability. Also, they claim that the video management software is scalable, providing a secure and comprehensive management of the videos and images taken. Despite the justification of the expensive cost, the PNP was still questioned because the purpose of the BWCs is simple. It is meant to capture, store, and retrieve videos. So as long as it could do all these, it is sufficient. Fortunately, the PNP addressed these concerns because in the August 14, 2023 hearing of the Committee on Public Order, they said that the BWC units they intend to purchase is now only 25,950 per unit. Biglang bubaba, nagmura. And more recently, during the budget hearing in November 2024, they said that the BWC they intend to purchase is only 33,000 per unit. Medyo nagmahal pero konti lang diferensya. According to the PNP, they need to purchase around 22,000 more body-worn cameras. Mr. President, the declarations of the PNP regarding the BWC units, its purchase and distribution, has been quite confusing. I hope to support the purchase and full implementation of BWCs and CCTVs, but there's a but we need their cooperation and transparency on the matter. They must provide us with a clear study of how much they need, the specification of the camera, and how it will be distributed. BWCs and CCTVs are very basic solutions, but it is very effective for law enforcement and public accountability. Kasi nga po, nagkakaroon tayo ng resibo, and so, in line with this, I've filed 3 bills this Congress. Senate Bill number 86, or the Law Enforcement Body-Worn Camera Act, which requires the use of body-worn cameras for law enforcement agents such as the PNP, the NBI, the PDEA, among others. I also filed Senate Bill number 439, or the Jails and Prison Monitoring Act of 2025, which provides a safe and secure environment for individuals arrested, detainees, and convicted inmates, and prevents illegal practices in our jails and prisons. Finally, I filed Senate Bill number 710, or the Barangay CCTV Surveillance Act of 2025. This will institutionalize the installation of security monitoring systems in all barangay posts and strategic public areas to deter crime. Mr. President, time and again we are reminded that public office is a public trust. While trust in our police force is slowly improving, we could reinforce it by providing tools for accountability, because we must always be accountable to the people. Serve them with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency. Mr. President, I look forward for the support of my colleagues, especially the chair of the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, none other than Senator Bato de la Rosa. Again, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Tulfo.
Mr. President, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa is seeking the floor. I move that he be recognized.
Senator Bato de la Rosa is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, this is not an interpellation, but a short manifestation in support to the privileged speech of that gentleman from Isabela and Davao, Senator Rafi Tulfo. In all my years of public service, Mr. President, I have come to realize that someone is always watching. This is echoed especially by the life that I have chosen to lead. First as a soldier, then as a police officer, and then now as a senator of the Republic. And as far as public service is concerned, Mr. President, those who are watching are also often the ones to whom we are answerable. Of course, this is not meant to scare or threaten. It is, as my experience tells me, merely a matter of fact that someone is always watching comes hand in hand with probing question. Now, what are we doing about it? It is in cognizance of this that I express my full support for the direction that the good gentleman from Isabela and Davao takes in his privileged speech for our personnel in the Philippine National Police. It would serve them well to always be reminded that there are eyes which, though quiet, see their every move. For the same reason, they should exercise due mindfulness in what they are doing. I also wish to state for the record that in the previous Congress, your Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs was able to submit to this plenary Committee Report number 584, which then contained Senate Bill number 3005, or the Law Enforcement Body-Worn Camera Act. Under this bill, law enforcement officers are mandated to wear and activate body-worn cameras in the conduct of their law enforcement operations. Hindi rin kaila sa atin na may kaakibat na gastos ang panukalang ito. Kung kaya, nilagay rin natin sa ating proposed bill na kung sakaling hindi available ang body-worn camera, maaari silang gumamit ng alternative recording device. Sa tagal ko na sa serbisyo, Mr. President, sa tingin ko ay nasa posisyon na akong sabihin na ang isa sa pinakamahalagang aral na aking natutunan ay ito: integrity defines the public servant. Of course, doing what is right, even when no one is looking, is well and good. But the real challenge, Mr. President, is doing the right thing precisely because the rest of the nation is watching. Precisely because it is the whole nation that expects, demands that you do the right thing. For the 28th Congress, I have filed Senate Bill number 358 for the same purpose. Naway sa kasalukuyang Kongreso, may sa batas na natin ito. Rest assured that as your chairman of the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, my commitment remains as strong as my sense of integrity. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the good gentleman from Davao and Isabela, Senator Rafi Tulfo.
Thank you, Senator Bato de Rosa, Majority Leader.
Mr. President, next to make a manifestation is Senator Erwin Tulfo. I move that he be recognized.
Senator Erwin Tulfo is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's not this is not an interpellation, rather it's a manifestation of support regarding the resolution filed by my brother, the gentleman from Davao and Isabela. Mr. President, suportado ko po ang sinasabi po doon sa resolusyon na panahon na po na bumili ang pamahalaan at bigyan po ng mga body-worn cameras, hindi lamang po ang mga pulis, kundi maging ang NBI, ganun din po ang PIDEA, para po para sa proteksyon ng magkabilang grupo, ng mga otoridad at ng mga sibilyan. Kasi po, pagdating ng may mga instances na sinasabing police abuses, pag-aabuso ng mga otoridad, ng mga arresting officers, sasabihin naman po ng kabila, hindi, nagsisinungaling yan. So parang he says, she says po yan. So nagkakaroon po ng debate sa korte. Eh dyan po magkakatalo, doon po sa mga ebidensya, doon po sa body-worn cameras, is the protection po both of the authorities and at the same time, protection of the public from abuses. Sana nga po, gusto ko rin po sana dagdagan na rin ang panukala, hindi lang po sa ating mga otoridad, hindi lang po sa mga law enforcers, proteksyon na rin po sa ating mga militar, lalo na po sa mga squad level,
Yung mga squad leader na lang po, wag na po, dahil sa dami po nila, bawat squad leader po, may body-worn cameras para hindi naman po maakusahan ng tinatawag na human rights abuses pag sila po ay nag-ooperate sa mga kabundukan o sa mga liblib na lugar para naman po proteksyon din po ng ating mga militar. At para makita din po na pag dumating po sa korte at sila po ay mademanda ng mga individual sa kabundukan, may maipapakita po sila na ginawa po nila ang tamang standard operating procedure sa kanilang operation. Yun lamang po, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Erwin. Any response from the elder brother?
Of course, I'd like to thank Senator Erwin Tulfo, my brother, for the support manifestation. Thank you, Senator Erwin.
Just a curious question, Senator Rafi.
Yes, sir,
How come
Mr.
both
President.
of you hail from two different provinces?
Well, my mother is from Davao Oriental, and my wife is from Isabela. So I'm adopted son of Isabela, and Erwin is, he studied in Palawan. He grew in Palawan, Puerto Princesa. Siguro kaya inadapt niya yung Palawan, Mr.
Thank
President.
you for enlightening this chair. Majority Leader?
Mr. President, I move that we refer the privileged speech of Senator Rafi Tulfo and all the interpellation and manifestations thereon to the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs. So move, Mr.
Any
President.
objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we elect Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan as chairperson of the Committee on Constitutional Amendments and Revision of Codes, Vice Senator Robin Hood Padilla. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 10, Section 13 of our rules, I move to elect the following senators as members of the Committee on Constitutional Amendments and Revision of the Codes. Vice Chairperson, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, Senator Rodante Marcoleta, yours truly as Deputy Majority Leader, and members are Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Senator Wing Gatchalian, Senator Lito Lapid, Senator Amy Marcos, and for the minority, Senators Loren Legarda and Senator Panfilo Lacson, and our Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, the aforementioned senators are hereby elected.
Mr. President, I move to elect the following senators as members of the Committee on Women, Children, and Family Relations and Gender Equality. Vice Chairperson, Senator Pia Cayetano. Members, Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Camille Villar, Senator Win Gatchalian, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, Senator Rafi Tulfo, and Senator Bam Aquino. For the minority, with the conformity of the Minority Leader and Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Zubiri, I move to elect Senator Loren Legarda, Vice Senator Zubiri. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, the following are hereby elected as members of the Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 10, Section 13 of our rules, I move to elect the following senators as members of the Committee on Accounts. Vice Chairpersons, Robin Hood Padilla. Yours truly as Deputy Majority Leader and Senator Rodante Marcoleta. With members, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Senator Christopher Bongo, Senator Wing Gatchalian, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Mark Villar, Senator Lito Lapid, and for the minority, Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Risa Ontiveros, and Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri. For the Committee on Energy, Vice Chair...
Can you please move? Make a motion to...
I so move, Mr. President.
So any objection? There being none, the aforementioned senators are hereby elected.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 10, Section 13 of our rules, I move to elect the following senators as members of the Committee on Energy. Vice Chairperson, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, Senator Win Gatchalian, Deputy Majority Leader, yours truly, Senator J.B. Ercito, Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Members, Senator Bam Aquino, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Senator Christopher Bongo, Senator Lito Lapid, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan, Senator Rafi Tulfo. For the minority, Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Risa Ontiveros, and Deputy Minority Leader Senator Juan Miguel Zubi. So moved, Mr. President.
An objection, there being none, the aforementioned senators are hereby elected to the Committee on Energy.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 10, Section 34 rules, I move to elect the following senators as members of the Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking. For as Vice Chairperson, Senator Camille Villar. Deputy Majority Leaders, yours truly, Senator J.B. Ercito, Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Members, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, Senator Wing Gatchalian, Senator Lito Lapid. For the minority, Senator Loren Legarda, and Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Juan Miguel Zubi. So moved, Mr. President.
An objection, there being none, the aforementioned senators are hereby elected to the Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 10, Section 13 for rules, I move to elect the following senators as members of the Committee on Ways and Means. Vice Chairperson, Senator Wing Gatchalian, Senator Rodante Marcoleta, Deputy Majority Leader, yours truly, Senator J.B. Ercito. Members, Senator Bam Aquino, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Senator Christopher Bongo, Senator Lito Lapid, Senator Camille Villar, Senator Mark Villar, Senator Rapi Tulfo. For the minority, Senator Panfilo Lacson, Senator Loren Legarda, and our Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Juan Miguel Subiri. So moved, Mr. President.
Is there an objection? There being none, the aforementioned senators are hereby elected to the Committee on Ways and Means.
Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the Journal of the 7th session, Monday, August 11, 2020, and consider same as approved.
Is there an objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Wednesday, August 13, 2025.
Bilis, Is there any objection? No objection? There being none, motion is approved. Session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, Wednesday, August 13, 2025.